If you want to get in on the action, we want to hear from you. Email us at faderoutemail@gmail.com with your questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it. We want to hear from you. We're on Instagram too. Slide in our DMs at Fade Route Podcast. Get at us. Welcome to the Fade Route with D and Z. Here are your hosts, D and Z. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of the Fade Route with D and Z. I am Z, and another week has come and gone in the sports world. You can say it's gone up in smoke. And speaking of smoke, the NBA broke the news today that it will not be testing for marijuana this season. They will only be testing for performance-enhancing drugs based on what occurred in the bubble. We had a lot of players openly discussing their depression at being in the bubble, and I can understand that, but at the same time, yeah, I don't like it. I've never been a drug guy. I never will be a drug guy. And I think this is just a slippery slope. There's that old white guy trope. It's a slippery slope. But you know what? I can't get off of that. And here he is. I've known this guy since our days on Carousel Shoes, flight crew through and through, the last QB in St. John's history. What's up, D? How's it going, man?
Hey, man. I've never been a drug guy either. And I think the NBA is really opening themselves up to liability here. You can definitely have, driving under the influence issues occur because of this. Yeah. And, ultimately you're responsible for your workforce. I know that it's illegal in some parts of the country, but in other parts it's not. And if this was ever to come in front of a judge or jury or grand court, the question's going to be asked, at one point you randomly tested for this and then you stopped. Can you tell us why?
Right, and you put Adam Silver on the stand, you make him take an oath. What's he going to say? That right. I want to be buddies with the players, so I let them skate on this?
That's pretty much what the answer would be, right? Because if you think back to Bud Selig, I remember when he was on, the stand, and they were asking him, performance-enhancing drugs of this kind were illegal in baseball. And it seems like you either knew about it or you didn't want to know about it. Explain, right. And he was fumbling for words. Kind of embarrassing as the commissioner.
No, it is pretty embarrassing. And, marijuana isn't a performance-enhancing drug. Yeah, I understand that. But at the same time, it does slow your reaction time, and it will impact your performance. It might impact your performance for the negative, but I guess it remains to be seen. But it does kind of intersect with a little bit of politics, as I know that Portland has pretty much decriminalized most drugs. So it's right. One of those things that are guys going to start running to sign on with the Portland Trailblazers now, or what's the deal?
Right, and then it all starts with this, right? And does it open it up to, okay, we're not going to test for this anymore. Okay, we're not going to test for that. You're going to have to draw the line somewhere. But
right. It's time for the fade-in, where we give a nod to the trending sports stories of the week.
At the end of the day, I think a lot of people in Houston are taking advantage of this new rule because they decided to trade for John Wall. And with the Washington Wizards this week, it was a deal that included Russell Westbrook, John Wall, and a protected first-round pick. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I can see what Houston's doing. They're trying to get some draft picks. They're trying to get younger. They're like, all right, we'll try this Boogie Cousins, John Wall thing out. We still got Harden, even though he's probably going to leave. And if you're Washington, you run to the table to sign this, right? It's like, yeah, well, we'll take Russell Westbrook. Yeah, send him over.
Yeah.
We got shooters here, and we don't even know if John Wall can play. He hasn't played in 2 years.
So you're telling me that I can trade my one-legged point guard for a two-legged point guard and a draft pick? Where do I sign up for this?
Sign it.
Yeah. I am like, if I am the Wizards, I am totally in on this. And I made my team infinitely better because Russell Westbrook rarely, if ever, gets hurt.
And he actually played basketball last year.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it remains to be seen what he can do with Bradley Beal, but that is infinitely more intriguing than John Wall and Bradley Beal because we've seen them play. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's a fucking catastrophe. So
I guess my question would be: is who called who? Did the Wizards call the Rockets, or the Rockets call the Wizards?
That's a wonderful question.
I'm wondering if the Rockets called and the Wizards are like, I think I'm being prank called here. somebody in Houston's pretending like they want to trade me Westbrook, and this can't be real.
Well, from what I've heard, that this was on the burner for a little while now, and it's only really come to light recently. But both sides of this definitely were eager to do it, and both brand new GMs want to put their stamp on the team. And I get that from a GM standpoint, but at the same time, if I'm Houston, I get the feeling I got fleeced. Like, this is Brody Van Wagenen all over again with the Mariners. So, I mean, you're chasing a name, And
yeah, but maybe the mentality there is also like, listen, we are not going to compete with the Lakers this year. We don't have a chance. So let's dump this salary. Let's dump this player. Let's get something for it. And, we'll try to figure out this Harden thing.
Right.
I mean, if you're the Wizards, I guess your mentality is he's gonna drive and kick the ball to shooters, right? Because Westbrook can't shoot anymore. He shoots 30% from three. He doesn't like he doesn't like people calling him a bad teammate, but he's from all I can see is he's not that great of a teammate.
How many guys? How many times does it need to happen?
Right. And then if you're Houston, you're like, okay, we got Boogie Cousins, right? And we got John Wall, and they're both probably going to try to prove that they can still play. We could compete for an 8th spot or a 7th spot and see where it goes from there. And maybe also the mentality is maybe we can talk Boogie and John into talking to James and getting him to stay. Maybe that's the other thing you think about. It's like, listen, I don't know how John Wall is coming back from this injury, but at one point, baseline to baseline, he's probably the fastest point guard in the league, and he's got height to him. He's not that great of a shooter, but he can pass the basketball and he can deliver the ball. So if you're Harden, you're like, all right, well, I got somebody who can get me the ball, so I don't got to take up the ball anymore, and I got someone who can grab some rebounds down low. So maybe that's the mentality there. But outside of that, this deal doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I don't really get it.
Well, you're alleviating one headache, so I get that if you're the Houston Rockets. You try and put some pieces around James Harden to the point where maybe he would decide to stay. But bringing in the 2010 Kentucky Wildcats is probably not going to do it.
It's basically what they're doing. That was 10 years ago, man.
Yeah.
And they're both coming off bad injuries, bad. They might not even be able to play the 50 games or whatever games that are slated right now.
Right.
And, talking about games that are slated, we opened up talking about the NBA because the NBA season is 2 weeks away or 3 weeks away, essentially. They have games opening up on the 22nd, the 24th, I believe, and also Christmas, whole slate of games. Is there a particular game that you're looking forward to or that you're excited about?
Well, let's start with opening night. You start off very strong with Golden State at Brooklyn. Yes, Klay Thompson is not there, but the rest of the guys are. The rest of the cast of characters are going to suit up and they're going to play that game. And this is put up or shut up time for Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Yes, it's one game, but the lights are going to be only on them. It's going to be the brightest stage they'll be on unless they make the NBA Finals. And that's one game that is extremely intriguing to me. Christmas Day, Golden State and Milwaukee, another one that should be potentially good. If not only for the fact that they'll be whispering sweet nothings in Giannis's ear. Like they got caught 2 years ago, I think, and Steph Curry was like, "Oh, I just gave him my gamer tag, like we're just gonna play some Xbox or some shit like that." But like from a game standpoint, from a competition standpoint, I'm looking forward to that one. And I'm also looking forward to Dallas at the Lakers. You have Luka Doncic going up against LeBron. With Anthony Davis, he's back in the fold. He signed that max contract. And, I want to see what the Lakers have because they cleared out the cupboard and they put a bunch of new guys in. And I want to see how they're going to gel in roughly 10 days' time. I definitely want to see how they're going to defend their crown. And what about you? What are you out of the first few slates of games? What are you excited for?
Well, it's pretty crazy because when you think about it, they just had the NBA draft. Like these rookies, just got into camp and just started playing. Yeah. But I'm gonna agree with you. I'm really looking forward to the Nets and Golden State for a couple of reasons. Right, Durant is coming back for the first time. He's gonna be playing against his old team. Right. He's gonna be playing with Kyrie Irving. First time we're seeing this. We're also gonna get to see James Wiseman. We're gonna get to see how's Golden State playing without Klay? What's this new team gonna look like?
Right.
And then my next game that I'm excited about is I'm really excited to see the Suns and the Mavs, Andre Booker and Doncic, CP3. That's gonna be a good game. That could be a serious playoff game at some point.
That's gonna be sneaky good.
So that's gonna be I think that's gonna be sneaky good. I like what the NBA is doing, and I think this is going to be their format moving forward. I really, truly believe the days of starting in October or November are over. This is going to be what they want to do. They're going to start Christmas week, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. This is their opportunity to get viewers, to get excited. And this is a great marketing tactic. I think they've been trying to do this for years, and yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, I mean, they just need the opportunity, and they really do own that time because the NHL, they take off for the holidays. The NFL, sometimes it runs concurrent with their schedule. Sometimes it doesn't, but you always have a Christmas game for the NBA. So they are becoming that early winter constant, and that's great for them in terms of marketing and that puts eyeballs on them. So with any luck, they're not impacted negatively by such a truncated preseason to where these games that we are looking forward to are just ugly. I remember back when we had the issue with the players in the NFL, and yeah, the games were ugly because you had people missing time. They were coming back. And, they treat the preseason like a joke, and, they suffered for it. And, it's going to be a quick turnaround for the officials too. So it's one of those things that they need to kind of shake the rust off as well. And, I'm prepared to kind of let the first 20 games or so slide just because guys need to get their sea legs under them. Guys need to gel with their new teammates. But the game, the superstars of the league will show up. It's the other guys that I'm concerned about.
Yeah. Yeah, the superstars are definitely going to play. It's going to be a great opportunity for them to take advantage of the end of the NFL season. They're just getting started, and they're going to make good money.
Oh yeah.
One of the teams that doesn't seem slated for at least the opening night is LaMelo Ball, and the Charlotte Hornets. But the question is, who's the best Ball brother? Is it LaMelo? Is it Lonzo? Or is it LiAngelo? Who's your favorite Ball?
Well, right now we only have 2 balls, so I think we should probably focus on the 2 balls that we know about. The other one is, I believe, is he in Australia or Lithuania? Like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego with this guy? So I'm focusing on the 2 guys that we are going to see right now. I don't know what LaMelo Ball is going to be, especially in Charlotte. I love Lonzo Ball coming off the bench in New Orleans, being that backup point guard, helping out with Zion Williamson. And he drastically improved. So he definitely has the upward trajectory, and he's in a great situation. LiAngelo Ball, supposedly he's the best of the bunch, but until you get to the NBA and prove it, I am not prepared to be excited by that ball. Maybe it's your ball. I just don't want it. So I'm going to stick with Lonzo because he has the inside track in terms of team and experience.
Well, my whole thing is this: is like I'm gonna guess it's gonna be LaMelo Ball, and the reason why I say this is because he doesn't have any college experience. And he was taken with the 3rd overall pick by the Hornets. I'm curious to see how that's going to translate into the NBA. We know what Lonzo is, okay? We know what Lonzo is. Like, Lonzo was a good college player, but as far as a professional, he's just like average. I mean, he's averaging 10 and 6. He's a borderline D-League player as a point guard at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he's on a good team, but let's be real. Ingram is probably the first option on that team. Zion's probably the second. He's just going to distribute the ball. So that's my order. I think LiAngelo is like in the G League right now. He's trying to work his way up through, I think, the Pistons organization. But for me, I'm looking forward to seeing LaMelo. I already know what Lonzo is. And you know what? I had high hopes for Lonzo. I thought he was going to be the next Jason Kidd. I really did. He really reminded me of Jason. Lonzo really reminded me of Jason Kidd, the way he was able to deliver the basketball. He wasn't that great of a shooter, but he was a confident shooter, and he could go to the basket. But nothing like that has come to the NBA. I mean, if you think about it, he was on the Lakers, and LeBron was like, "Yeah, we need to get this kid out of here. Like, this isn't." This guy's like, he's watching me. He's watching me play the whole time.
Yeah. That's for you, LiAngelo. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? I agree with you that, LaMelo has the least amount of ceiling because he was playing overseas professionally. He's been playing there longer. But, I don't discount the college experience for Lonzo. And, he's still young, and I think that he has a chance to grow. All these guys have a chance to grow. And it really does depend on their situation. Granted, LeBron.
I can't see him coming into the league and being worse than Lonzo.
No, I mean, yeah, most likely because he's going to get a significant amount of playing time in Charlotte. So
yeah. I mean, he looks quicker. He was a 3rd overall pick. Like,
he's explosive and he drives to the basket.
Maybe we're not seeing something, but I mean, if you're their father, you've got to be more excited about the new kid that's in. You already know what the D-League player is, and you already know what Lonzo is. Like, you can't imagine that all of a sudden overnight Lonzo's going to be averaging 17 and 8. right?
Right.
Like, he's not going to go up 7 points and go up 2 assists. That's just not going to happen. If anything, he has a chance to get worse, go down maybe 2 points, maybe go down 2 assists, and then what are you doing here? Why are we paying you? We could get anybody. You could go play point guard for that matter.
Well, I don't know about that with my 2 bad knees, but I could definitely give it a shot. Anyway, speaking of giving it a shot, the Yankees are giving Gary Sanchez one more shot. He was tendered a contract. He was arbitration eligible, and there was some controversy about whether or not the Yankees were going to give him that arbitration deal. And frankly, I think it was a mistake. I see him as a defensive liability. He's not the hitter he once was. And for the amount of power that he gives you, he doesn't give you a lot of durability either. He's only maxed out at 120 games. And this is extremely risky for the New York Yankees.
Well, okay. I'm going to probably cede most of my time to you on this because you are, the catcher and you are the pro. But the only thing I would ask you is, as far as his batting going down, are you just basing that off of last year? Like, what are you really basing that off of? Because he's had decent numbers for a catcher, right? Like, the only issue I have, I don't like Gary Sanchez. I don't think he's that good of a player. I actually don't even think he's that good of a hitter. But where are the Yankees going to get a guy that bats 230, 220 and hits 20 to 30 bombs? I don't think that exists, right? I don't think there's a better option for them. And we talked about this, earlier in the week when this was happening. And, you mentioned Yadier Molina. It's like, yeah, Yadier Molina is good, but are you really going to sign a 38-year-old catcher? And what are you really signing him to? To make Gary better? Or you're going to try to replace Gary? Like, that's the only thing is, I don't see what other options the Yankees had. And I think we talked about maybe Boston would jump in there or maybe even Toronto or something. But I don't see that. Like, the best case scenario for Gary would have been if they determined, right, that the DH was going to be universal this year. Because at that point, there are National League teams that would be interested in him, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's a catcher. Maybe you move him to first, but the Yankees really need to consider, right? They need to consider going to get Didi Gregorius back, right? They need to move Gleiber back to second, and they need to re-sign LeMahieu. I don't know if they have done that yet, but
not yet. No.
Yeah, that's what they need to do. This guy, I think they did it because they didn't have any other option. Because what are we going to do? Like, we're not going to get this kind of production anywhere else. Because 2 years ago, I'm looking at his numbers now, he's batting 232, 34 home runs, 77 RBIs. Year before that was terrible. He was batting 186. Year before that, though, 278, 33 home runs. So, if anything, he had a bad COVID season, but then that should mean he's due, right? He's due for a good year. And he's only 28 years old. But I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I don't like him defensively. The pitchers don't like throwing to him.
No, that's terrible.
He cannot block a ball in the dirt. He cannot get a ball over his head. He's constantly getting crossed up, which is crazy because he's the one putting down the fingers, and he's getting crossed up.
I forgot. Oh shit!
Is it? Oh, one is fastball. Whoops! That's whoosh it.
But did he cost them any games last year?
He didn't cost them any games, but he also didn't do much in the way of making. He was a negative 0.5 WAR. I'm not a big WAR guy, so that's a net zero. So we're just going to call him a net zero. And as far as his statistics go, a batting average is an overrated statistic. We know that, sabermetrics is definitely going to give you a truer story. He's only getting on base for his career an average of 320. It's his on-base percentage. It's not great. It's okay.
His OPS is good though.
His
His
OPS is 823. His slugging percentage career is 502. The numbers, they paint a.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
Right? Come on, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
And what he cost him last year? I think he cost him $5 million last year. I don't even really know. But I'm just trying to say that they could do worse, and I don't see a better option for them. So in that situation, I get why they tendered it. I wouldn't have.
No.
That's a personal thing, though. It's not. I'm not basing that off of his average or what he's, who he is. It's just me. I think, it's heads or tails. I think if you had a more financially strapped team or a team maybe that had a little bit more depth, they might go in another direction.
To me, he's a dime a dozen player.
Yeah. And that's not the way he came up. When he came up, it was like, oh man, this guy, he's going to redefine the catching position for the New York Yankees. And in the first 2 seasons, you really couldn't get a fastball by this guy. He was slapping everything hard, and he was on everything. And then they get Stanton, and it's like, okay, we got Stanton, Judge, Sanchez, yeah. But now it's like, all right, we got Judge. All right, we could do it, Stanton. Oh, then we got Sanchez. That's the mentality of the other team now.
Slider
right?
in the dirt, strike 3. Slider in the dirt, strike 3. Slider in the dirt, strike 3. That's it. It's a thoroughly undisciplined team.
That one had some quick.
Yes, they're just trying to jack the. It's 3 redundant bats. That's the problem.
I think the other thing they need to They're very. That's another good point. Is they're very right-handed dominant, and you gotta throw Stanton out in the field. Like, he got to go play the. Why is it that he can play the field for the Marlins, but he can't come play the field for the New York Yankees? Like, the less you play him out there, the worse he's gonna get out there. So utilize him. You're paying him. You're paying him all this money. Put him out in the outfield. Make him bag groceries. Do something.
No, he wasn't a terrible right fielder. I mean, he was borderline good. Like, he was decent.
He's a baseball player. Player.
No, of course. Like, I mean, in Miami, he was a decent fielder. He's not, he's not Ichiro. Like, nobody's Ichiro. But, I can see why they would want to protect their investment, especially, since the Sun Field at Yankee Stadium is more difficult than playing in a dome in Miami. I will cede that. But the only way you get better at it is you stick him in the outfield. I mean, you let Miguel Andujar play the outfield. Well, what's wrong with this guy?
Andujar!
Right. The Mr. Trade Bait himself. Like, he played the outfield. Why can't Giancarlo Stanton? So the worst thing that could have happened for the Yankees was that Giancarlo Stanton decided to stay. Because they were.
Yes, I'm going to.
I want my money. Give me my money.
Damn.
Now.
Damn it.
I want an unmarked bills. But, it would have behooved the Yankees if he left, because you open up the DH. You could put Voit there some days. You put Judge there some days. But
that's another thing, right? They should probably trade Luke Voit now. Like, his value has never been higher.
It's never going to get
any higher than it is right now.
It's never going to get any better. Absolutely not.
It's not going to get any better. Move him now. Trade him now. There are teams that will take Luke Voit, and if you re-sign LeMahieu, you do not need Luke Voit. You don't need him.
No, agreed. But at the same time, like, I can see where Luke Voit's value is, especially as a backup plan if they don't get LeMahieu, because I know Toronto is going hard after him. The Nationals are going hard after him. The Mets are going hard after. I mean, he's got suitors. The Yankees aren't the only game in town for once. So that's the thing that I find very interesting. The Yankees, they're used to being that team that, is the destination for the high-priced free agents. And now there's competition. Before, it used to be the Yankees are going to get used as a bargaining chip. Now, I'm not even sure that's the case, especially with Steve Cohen and his brand new billions of dollars and that beautiful money. They're setting the tone. So it remains to be seen what actually is going to happen. It's a very intriguing time for Major League Baseball free agency. And speaking of
Indeed.
an intriguing time, wow, the Ravens, they had a week. They had a heck of a week. Lamar Jackson down with COVID. One of the coaches down with COVID. Ingram, Dobbins. Their game got postponed twice. And even then, they only lost to the Steelers by 5. RG3 started. Trace McSorley finished. Trace McSorley is now their only quarterback who's good to go. But we're going to talk about the Ravens more in our pick segment. But this is about the Steelers. You had a team that was on the ropes, ravaged by COVID, and you can only win by 5? You can only muster 19 points? Like, how vulnerable are the Steelers right now, and who do you have picking them off, if you do?
Yeah, I mean, Mike Tomlin called the win a junior varsity win, and it kind of looked like that. I'm not sure if he said that to rile his troops or what, but I mean, they really did almost lose that game. I mean, if Robert Griffin doesn't get hurt, and if the Ravens manage that clock a little better, they're gonna win that game. I truly believe that. I think we saw how vulnerable Pittsburgh can be. I'm not in love with their offense right now. They're so pass heavy. I've been saying this a lot, and it's not just because James Conner is my fantasy running back, but they are. I've tracked this. They are almost 80% pass when they are within the 10-yard line, like going in. Like they are 80% pass, and I'm not just talking about like I'm under center, I'm dropping back. They are like 5 wide, empty sets, pass. Like, come on, that's a little crazy. I don't like the play selection. I don't like the way Ben looks. I have them. In our pick segment, I have them actually losing this weekend to Washington. Because I'll tell you right now, Washington's going to get after him. They're going to get after him. No Pouncey because he's on COVID now. Okay, and if they don't get knocked off by Washington, wouldn't be surprised if the Bills do it. I think the Bills are capable, but the Colts are definitely capable, especially defensively. So that's where I got Pittsburgh right now. Very concerned with that game. I know their schedule was crazy, and they don't like to make excuses anyway, but that should have been a slap down, and it wasn't. It was the Ravens ran the ball. The Ravens did what they wanted to do. And if you remember, the Pittsburgh was lucky enough to get a pick 6 at one point. So really, the offense only really scored, didn't score that much.
That's true.
A lot of drop passes. Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, Schuster, everybody dropping the ball. Ben's laid it in there perfectly. He couldn't throw it any better, and they're dropping it. Against good teams, that is not going to work. You play the Kansas City Chiefs and you drop third down passes, Kansas City's going to get the ball and score. I don't care how good your defense is. Like, nobody's running with Tyreek Hill.
No.
So, I think they should really be concerned. It'd be interesting to see how they play Cleveland. I think Cleveland's like the last game of the year for them because Cleveland's playing well. I mean, they haven't played good against good teams, but you could get surprised.
The Steelers are very vulnerable, and to be honest, any of these games, with the exception of the Bengals, could be a loss. And the Steelers-Bengals could have been in that group as well if Joe Burrow did not get hurt. It's very disconcerting. If you're Mike Tomlin, you definitely need to kind of tighten things up. You're trying to play like the Chiefs. You're trying to play with like a spread offense, but the Chiefs discovered a running game with Edwards-Helaire and to a lesser extent, Le'Veon Bell. And you're not going to, you are, by playing this way, you are prepping to play from behind. And you set the tone by running the goddamn football.
Damn it.
God damn it. You run the football to set up the pass. That is
the Pittsburgh Steelers for crying out loud.
Exactly. I shouldn't have to tell you this. Like, you're the Steelers. Like, you should know this. But I definitely could.
And they got 3 backs. Yeah. They have 3 perfectly capable backs. The rookie Anthony McFarland looks great when he gets the ball. Like, he looks great.
and then you have Connor, and then you have Jalen Sam. You have guys.
Jalen Sam was
yeah.
another guy. Yeah,
That's the thing. You have talent. Use it. Use it or lose it.
And Snell.
That's right. You have
Snell's
Benny
very
Snell.
good.
You're 40.
He's good.
You're 40.
Good player.
So to not establish the run or to not incorporate the run more is definitely going to bite them in the ass at some point.
Unless they change their
exactly.
ways.
I could see the Washington football team. I almost said it. No, nothing's going in the swear jar this week. The football team could definitely do it. I'm not as bold to say that, but the Bills, the Steelers, and that Browns game, to me, the Browns game really depends on whether or not the Steelers have something to play for. If they have run the table and they've clinched the division, they've clinched a playoff spot, I could see them just kind of laying down for that one and, not starting Ben, getting ready for the playoffs. I can definitely see that one being, get them getting picked off if that particular situation occurs.
Well, just taking into consideration the nature of the division, they're going to have to play all their games, right? Because the Browns are 8-3, right?
Yeah.
And then the Ravens, they may be 6-5 or 6-6, whatever they are, but they're getting Lamar back. They're going to be trying to get a wild card spot. They're going to play. Everyone in that division is going to play until the very end. But another team that got struck with COVID over the last 2 weeks was the Denver Broncos.
Oh, Denver Broncos.
Who were so careless that they let all their quarterbacks just fraternize with one another without masks on, so they were all deemed ineligible for the game this past weekend. In your opinion, how should the NFL come down on the Broncos, or have they done that already?
Well, let's go through the whole situation. So Jeff Driscoll introduced COVID into the quarterback room. So if we're going to talk about Typhoid Mary is Jeff Driscoll.
Hey, guys.
What's going on? Hey, nice. It's great to see you. Let's take our masks off. Let's just hang out for a little while. I haven't seen your face since forever. So you're doing you're doing your tape study and you let your guard down. You let the protocol slip and Bortles goes down and Locke goes down and Rippon goes down and Driscoll goes down. They wanted to sign their quality control coach, a former quarterback, Matt Calabrese from Long Island. And I'm not just saying this that they should have done this because he's a Paisan from Long Island. He had more command of the offense than anybody, maybe even more than some of the guys that were in the room studying film. The league decided against that and also told them that they would not be moving the game, unlike the Ravens game, because this was the fault of their own. This was not an issue where protocols were followed and yet COVID still made its way in. No, the Broncos were lax in their protocols to the point where they had to start Kendall Hinton at quarterback. Who? Exactly. 1-9, 2 picks. Congratulations. You're going to be a trivia question someday. And honestly, I think they've probably come down as hard as they're going to come down. And that is, this is the warning to the rest of the league. Straighten up and fly right, because we're not going to take this shit.
Don't fuck with us. We're serious.
Don't fuck with Goodell. Don't fuck with the Raj.
I'll make you play with 11 players. Don't make me. I'll turn this bus around.
That's right.
Your
field trip. Just jerk the wheel into a goddamn bridge and bang.
No, I think they got their punishment already. I don't think that NFL needs to do anything else to them. They had to start a practice squad wide receiver at quarterback who went 1 for 9 for 13 yards and threw 2 interceptions. I think they got the point.
I would hope so. Let's put it that way, because if you are that thick-headed to the point where you're still doing this afterwards, I mean, the Raiders got fined at this point, I think over $1 million for lax COVID protocol adherence.
But they don't have all those people, they didn't have to embarrass themselves on
True.
TV.
So,
I mean, if you were like CBS or Fox, I think CBS had that game, you're not happy.
No, nor should you be. But
you're not happy.
At the same time, like, all right, hitting them in the wallet didn't work. Maybe the public humiliation will. I mean, at that point, if public humiliation doesn't work, I mean, what are you doing at that point? What do you have?
But this all stems from their coach too. I don't think he's really like a head coach kind of guy.
Yeah. Fangio,
I think that also stems from him. You got to just be smart about the situation and everything that's going on. And the fact that you had to lean on a practice squad wide receiver to play quarterback, it's a little embarrassing. Like, if anything, I actually thought they should have went with Royce Freeman, who was a running back on their team, and he's also an emergency quarterback. I think it would have been better to put him back there because at least he knows the plays.
Right.
Like, I mean, now you know how hard it is to play quarterback in the NFL because a guy who can throw, he can't just step on the field and play flag football here. You go left, you go right, you go up, you go down. There's so much to it, and the play calling and timing routes. And I saw some of his passes, and I felt bad for him. I mean, good for him because let me tell you, if they were trying to sign me up from the practice squad, I'd be like, you better pay me.
Yeah.
Or you're going to pay me. I'm not going to just make the minimum for this game. Oh, no.
No, absolutely not.
I'm going to, like you said, I'm going to be a trivia question. I'm going to go out there and embarrass myself. No. You're setting me. I'm buying a house with whatever you're going to give me. It's got to be $225, $250. That's it, man.
Easy.
That's where we're starting.
But yeah, I mean, it definitely falls on Vic.
And I'm going to be on this team for the rest of the season. I ain't getting cut. How about that?
That's a strong bargaining chip there. But it definitely falls on Vic Fangio because as the head coach, you need to have that. You have to have your finger on the pulse of your team. So that means that you got to have eyes in the room. It's like, put your fucking mask on. What are you doing? Hey, you, your nose up. But I'm not saying it's a fireable offense, but he was already on the chopping block to begin with. So
yeah.
it definitely makes things worse. So Vic Fangio
doesn't have a pulse on his team, but someone who does have a pulse on their team is Pete Carroll, and the NFL decided to reinstate Josh Gordon, and he's going to be playing for the Seattle Seahawks. So does that bother you at all? Do you think there's any point to Josh Gordon joining the Seattle Seahawks?
I mean, it doesn't bother me just because he's under contract anyway. I mean, he was going to come off eventually. It doesn't bother me. It's the last 2 games. Why bother? That's my thing. Why bother? He's not going to play. He's not going to be playoff ready. I don't know if he's in shape because, I don't think he's allowed to practice at the team facility. I don't think he's allowed to train. So whatever he's doing on his own time,
Oh, we know what he's doing on his own time.
We know his track record of what he does on his own time, and that's the issue. So to me, like, I don't get it. I'm not bothered by it, but at the same time, it's kind of pointless.
My whole thing is this, he's bounced around so much, and everywhere he's gone, he's kind of had this issue. I think the reinstatement and him actually playing doesn't have a lot to do with football, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, this guy clearly has a problem, and I think teams are trying, and the league is trying to help him.
Yeah.
Because if he could just clean himself up and walk a straight path for long enough, he can play in the National Football League where there's structure, where there's something that keeps him busy. So I think these are just people giving him chances and trying to help him out because it's the only way they can help him.
Yeah.
And
one guy,
and at the end of the day, if he is able to get out there and play, I mean, you're talking about a pretty formidable receiving core with Lockett, Gordon, and Metcalf. So there's incentive there for him.
Absolutely. And to be fair to him, Josh Gordon's demons definitely stem from his mental health issues. And I get that. I'm not trying to be insensitive to him. But you know what the NFL should do is another wide receiver in the past has struggled with mental health issues, and that's Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall struggled with bipolar disorder for years before finally, through therapy and through the right medication, finally got his head on straight and he became a productive player. Put Josh Gordon in contact with Brandon Marshall just to have a sounding board, and to say that I've been there, man. I've been there, brother. And this is what worked for me. Maybe it will work for you. And just maybe knowing that he's not alone and that he's not going to be punished, maybe that's something that would kind of straighten him out a little bit. But I don't know. 2 games is just kind of eh.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know all the things that they've tried, but, one thing's for certain. For 2 games, he's going to have a job. But at the end of this year, there's going to be a lot of coaches that do not have a job. So right now, who are the guys that for sure are not going to be back next season? What are some bold predictions you got for this?
Well, I don't know about bold predictions, but let's already set the tone. Matt Patricia got canned after Thanksgiving, and we kind of knew that was coming eventually. There's just the way the uninspired play of the Detroit Lions. Vic Fangio, not a great head coach, not a great CEO. Brought in Pat Shurmur. Pat Shurmur stinks as an offensive coordinator. And he sucks as a head coach. So fuck you, Pat. So Fangio's probably going to be out on his ass. Maybe Mike Zimmer for Minnesota if they kind of tank again, because I don't see the owner of the Vikings putting up with this. They were a ready-made team. They were a playoff contender, and this had to be a little bit of an embarrassing year. And the boldest of the bold, if they don't make the playoffs or if they don't make a run in the playoffs, Bruce Arians and Byron Leftwich, goodbye, adios. And we had this conversation in our production meeting. They're out, and I see Josh McDaniels in. Big time.
I can do this.
I mean, it's New England
like a
South,
2007, like a 2007 Patriots on you.
That's right. Randy Moss will come out of retirement. Shit.
Wes Welker.
All of
everybody.
But and he's like the biggest fish, I think, depending on what happens the rest of the season.
I don't have any bold ones. I have a couple of layups. So my first one is Gase. That's a layup. Whether they go 1-15 or 0-16, he's going to go. I watched their press conferences today, and it's just an embarrassment. It's like Rich Cimini's asking him. He's like, yo, it looked like you were calling the plays, but I thought Laser was going to be calling the plays from now on. He goes, I wasn't calling the plays. And he goes, but you could, and he's telling him a specific point in the game. He's like, well, I just called the plays on 3rd down. It's like, wait a minute. What do you mean you just call the plays on 3rd down? Well, I call the plays in the red zone too. So you're calling the plays. What are you talking about? I thought this guy was calling the plays. Why are you still calling the plays? Nobody wants you to call the plays, Adam Gase.
These are not the droids you're looking for. What kind of bullshit Jedi mind trick is that?
Oh my gosh. It was just embarrassing. And then they tried to talk to Laser about it. And he's like, you have to talk to the head coach because I'm frustrated. Like, that's what it looked like he wanted to say. He said, no, you have to talk to the head coach. I'm not going to answer that question. And it was more like, yeah, I don't know what's going on here either, Rich. I thought I was calling the plays too.
I did once.
I did once. And we got a first down. It's amazing. I think Doug Marone's gone. I think Doug Marone and Romeo Crennel will be gone because they're going to have new GMs. Yeah. So the new GM is probably going to want to pick his coach, which is understandable.
Oh, of course.
And then Nagy's definitely gone. They brought this guy in to win with Mitch Trubisky. I mean, I think that was part of his interview. It was like, hey, we have Mitch Trubisky. Do you think you can win games with Mitch Trubisky? Well, when I was in Kansas City, we wanted to draft Mitch Trubisky, but we had to draft Pat Mahomes instead. oh, so you can win with Mitch Trubisky? Yeah, I can win with Mitch Trubisky. Yeah, I can't win with this guy. I can't get first downs. I got to rely on a defense score. No, this dude is out. So those are the guys. I don't have any bold ones. We talked about Bruce Arians. I mean, there's a chance, but a part of me thinks that, they're going to want to go a full off season where they're actually able to install an offense and collaborate and talk with one another. Maybe Byron Leftwich leaves. Maybe that's what happens. But I think they're going to try to give it another year, especially if they're able to make the playoffs.
It
that's where I see
definitely
it
remains
going.
to be seen. We need to figure out. I mean, the owner has definitely gone all in. He's definitely winning now. One of the interesting things that came out today is that Michigan legislatures are trying to pressure the owner of the Lions to hire Robert Saleh away from the San Francisco 49ers. For those of you guys not totally up on 49er org chart, he is the defensive coordinator and very well respected, great player, a great coach. His players love him. I don't know. I feel very weird having politicians try and tell the owner of a football team who they would like as a coach. Yeah, I get he's from Michigan. I get he played college ball at Michigan, but I'm the owner of the team. Don't tell me what to do. Save that booster shit for college.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you on that too. But also, they're probably looking at it from an economic standpoint. They'd like to see the team win. They'd like to see, more money come into the area. I think they're seeing that with Cleveland. Like they're seeing how the difference of Baker Mayfield and a decent coach, the difference it can make in that town. So they're probably just trying to do something of that nature. Time's running out on Matthew Stafford, who you would think was this terrible player, but he's actually a very good quarterback, and you're running out of time. So I do have a problem with it. I guess I do. It should leave it to the owner to decide and let him run his team. But I can see where the politicians are coming from.
Yeah.
Especially if they feel like the owner owes them something.
Well, yeah. I mean, we don't know the funding situation, how much money they put up in order to get Ford Field. So I get it. Like
that thing, right?
Yeah. So it's just like, yeah, we kind of owe you one. But it's not like Green Bay. Green Bay, which owns the team, the city owns the team. So, like, I get where you would want to have a little bit of say in that, but yeah, it just smells to me. And yeah, I keep the politics out of my sports, please, with sugar on top. Order up. All right, guys. So we are going to pick our order for the best NFL duo. Now, that's purposely vague. So, we can kind of pick anybody. Offense, defense. Like, we can definitely coaches
players.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely open to interpretation.
You can't use Fangio and Shermer, though. Just so you know.
Fuck you, Pat.
I know where you live.
I know where he works.
I know you work. Right. I know where
You're
you
right
work.
off my train line. I know where you work. All right. So, top 5. Who are your top 5 best NFL duos?
All right. So, starting with 5, I've got a good one. I actually have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, because right now they're number 1 in the league in rushing at 161 yards per game. That is pretty stellar for that duo in Cleveland when they have to play games against teams like the Steelers and teams like the Ravens. My number 4 is new to the scene. It's Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen. Justin Herbert may just win Rookie of the Year this year, and he was Rookie of the Month last month. In one game, they combined on 16 catches for 145 yards. That is a lot, and that's catches. There were probably at least 4 or 5 more targets there. Number 3, really just not a hard one here. It's Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, who in one quarter last week had 200 yards together with 3 touchdowns.
That was a slaughter.
Game was over, and my fantasy week was over because I was playing against Tyreek Hill. Number 2 for me is Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. And the reason is because Russell can compensate for bad coaching, bad defense, and offensive miscues. They're like the perfect match because Russell is that kind of player that Pete can go to him and he can get him to do whatever he needs him to do, and he can be that guy. So I really think that they're the second best duo in the NFL right now. And the number 1 duo, this will probably surprise you, looking at the numbers, it's Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers. Reminds me of Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison. They just give each other a look, or they're in sync with one another. He's just so gifted at being able to track the long ball while it's in the air and make effortless catches. And he's just always ready. Davante Adams is always ready for the ball, and Rodgers is always able to deliver it to him. So that's my 5 for order up.
It's very funny that Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers are your number 1. They're my number 5. Just from they have amazing chemistry together, and Rodgers always knows where he is on the field. He can always count on Adams catching the ball, and that's definitely, that's what you want in your number 1 stud receiver. I know where you are. I can get the ball to you, and I can trust you. And at this point, he's the safety net. Number 4 for me, just based on recent performance and, again, chemistry, Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf. That is a combination that's going to haunt the league for years to come. And it's definitely something that you can take him out of the game. You can take Russell Wilson out of the game, but DK Metcalf's still going to get hits. It's kind of crazy. Russell Wilson, even those games where he was terrible, he's throwing picks all over the field, Metcalf was still getting his targets, still getting his catches, still getting his yards. So production-wise, that's still pretty stellar. Number 3, based on this year, just because he's a rookie and it's impressive to me that he has such great chemistry, Ben Roethlisberger and Chase Claypool. You have Juju on that team. Juju has gone really downhill in the past few years. When Antonio Brown was there, Juju went off, and it slowly but surely declined. But Claypool this year has certainly picked up that slack, and it's been amazing what he's been able to do. Number 2, Derrick Henry and the Titans offensive line. He's trucking guys. You can drive, speaking of trucks, you can drive a truck through the holes that they are providing him, and he might run this thing to an MVP. He's having that good of a year. And number 1, it's close. I wish it was more than duo, because you really could put any of these guys in there. It's Pat Mahomes, and take your pick. Andy Reid, Tyreek Hill, or Travis Kelce. But I'm going to go with Andy Reid. They seem to be so in sync, so simpatico, that they know exactly what the other one wants to do. Again, to the chemistry point. Andy Reid has coached Patrick Mahomes to the point where they can almost finish each other's sentences. And to have that extension of the coaching staff on the field is invaluable. So there we go, guys. Our top 5 ordered up for you. Agree? Disagree? Want to share your top 5? Hit us up. DM us at Fade Route Podcast, or email us at faderoutemail@gmail.com. Time to see what's cooking this weekend, sponsored by As You Eat It, only on YouTube. That's AZ, You Eat It. Check it out today. All right, brother. It is time for our picks. How'd you do last week?
I crushed it last week. Crushed it. I won 11 games.
Yes.
So whoever followed me, you're welcome.
A humble brag, if ever there was one. I also brought in 11 games. So we are on. Remember, we were talking about fingers on the pulse? We got our fingers on the pulse of this league right now. So definitely consult us before making any wagers. First up, Browns at Titans. Who you got?
Man, that's going to be a good game. I think we're going to learn a lot about both teams in that situation. And I'm going to have to go with Derrick Henry and the Titans.
I agree. It's not going to be the bloodletting that I usually predict with the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are slowly but surely impressing me. I'm not saying they're winning me over. I'm saying they're impressing me, Cleveland. There is a difference. But there's an indomitable force on the other side of that football, and his name is Derrick Henry. He will not be denied.
He will not be stopped.
No, he will not. It's like Little Giants when you had those six guys jump on his back. That's what it's going to be.
In a surprise this week, this will be the second time this year I'm doing this. I am taking COVID over the Raiders. I'm taking the Jets to beat Vegas.
Oof. You're a brave man. You're a very brave soul. I just can't do it. I can't join you on that ledge. I'm going to take the Raiders, and I think Josh Jacobs is going to have too good of a game for the.
No, he's out.
No.
He's out.
Oh no.
He's out.
That I still can't take the Jets, even without Josh Jacobs. Yeah, Darren Waller, you have Ruggs, you got Carr. Yeah, I think it's still too much.
Okay. I have the Vikings beating the Jaguars.
Yeah, I can definitely concur with that. The Jaguars are going nowhere fast. Doug Marrone's probably going to get fired at some point. The Khan family is none too pleased with the results. And Dalvin Cook had a down week last week. I don't think surprisingly down week. I think he's going to have a major bounce back.
Yeah, I am taking the Dolphins over the Bengals.
It's not even close. The Dolphins are much better than the Bengals. It would have been closer if Joe Burrow was there, but Joe Burrow's not there. So
JB,
say what you will.
I'm taking the Colts over Houston. I was a little bit in a toss-up with this one, but ultimately I think without Fuller, Indy will play better defense this week, and they'll take them out.
We didn't even talk about that. How stupid Will Fuller is. You're having the best season of your career, and now we know
Clearly
why.
We know why.
That being said, I can't take the Texans in good conscience. I, like you, was coin flipping this one, but the Colts need this game. The Colts got to win.
Surprise. I don't know if it's surprise, but I'm actually going to take the Lions to beat the Bears.
Matt Nagy sucks as a head coach. Trubisky sucks as a quarterback. I don't know what to expect from Darrell Bevell as a head coach now that Patricia's out on his ass, but I too am taking the Lions. It can only go up.
Only go up. I'm actually taking another upset. I've got the Falcons beating the New Orleans Saints.
You love you some Raheem Morris. Raheem!
Yeah. He's going to try to win the head coaching job this week.
I'm impressed. I'm very impressed by Raheem Morris. I think he's going to take the interim tag off of that. They're definitely going to make him the head coach just based on the performance of the team had and where they started with Dan Quinn. But I'm taking the Saints. It's going to be closer than people think, but I'm just going to run with the Saints on this.
Okay. No Daniel Jones this week, so I'm taking Seattle over the Giants.
The Seahawks are the better team. As a Giants fan, as a realistic Giants fan, got no shot. We had no shot with Jones. Now you're putting McCoy in the mix. You have even less of a shot.
Who's a good quarterback?
He's decent. He's a decent backup. He's what you want. You know, but
player.
he can play. But
play.
that Seahawks defense is actually it's rounding into form. Jamal Adams, you have Snacks Harrison, you traded for Dunlap. They got some players on that side of the ball, and it's slowly but surely rounding into form. I don't see them having a good day.
Good game. Rams against Arizona. I'm taking the Rams. This has a lot of ramifications here. This could really hurt Arizona's chances of making the playoffs.
It absolutely could, which is why I'm taking the Cardinals in this game. I think they show up and they put together a solid performance. The Rams' effort is sometimes inconsistent with them, despite their record. I see some holes there, and the Cardinals might be able to exploit them. I think Kyler Murray, is going to have a good game. I believe the shoulder is better. And, DeAndre Hopkins against Jalen Ramsey is going to be a very intriguing matchup.
I got the Patriots over the Chargers.
This is tough. This is very tough. The Chargers have proven that they are talented on the offensive side of the ball. The Patriots, they're lying in the weeds. Anthony Lynn scares me as a head coach. Like, he finds ways to lose games that they should win. So that's why I'm taking the Patriots.
Really easy one. I'm taking the Packers over the Eagles.
Question. Jalen Hurts, how many snaps does he get?
2, maybe 3.
That's it? You think so?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's going to have more. I think he's going to be involved more in the offense. That being said, the Packers are a steamroll.
I have another upset for you. I think the Denver Broncos are upset, and they're going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend.
That's very bold. You're a very brave man. The Broncos suck. I'm sorry. They are just terrible. And the Chiefs, they could overlook this game, but they're not gonna. I got the Chiefs.
Divisional games are tough.
But the Chiefs are a juggernaut right now.
Okay. I'm taking another upset. We talked about it earlier. I got the Redskins beating the Pittsburgh Steelers.
One of 2 Monday night games this week.
Oh, sorry, the Washington football team.
Put it in the swear jar.
$1
in the swear jar. I'm going to take the Steelers. It's going to be close. I think the Steelers win by a field goal as time expires. Alex Smith, as up and down as he's been rounding into form. Antonio Gibson is a good running back. Terry McLaurin, a very good wide receiver. Chase Young is going to make Ben move. But when it all boils down to it, Steelers win by 3.
49ers are playing Buffalo. 49ers are not allowed to play in their stadium, so this game is being played in Arizona. I am going to take the disgruntled 49ers.
This is a tricky game. The 49ers are playing a lot better than we're letting on. I just think the Bills are finally due to show us who they are, and they're going to take home this division. Josh Allen's going to have a heck of a game, and I got the Bills.
And the last one, I am taking Baltimore over Dallas, regardless of McSorley or Lamar Jackson playing quarterback. I think they get the job done.
If Trace McSorley plays, and he's the only one available right now, I cannot see the Dallas Cowboys losing this game.
No,
I'm going to take that's a bit of an upset. I got Andy Dalton, the wily experience of Andy Dalton. The Red Rifle is going to fire a shot into the playoff hopes of the Ravens.
All right. Well, that takes care of our pick segment. Thanks for tuning in tonight. You can catch our podcast Friday nights on the Anchor and other podcast outlets. Until next time, stay faded, everyone.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.